What's up? What's up? Facebook world, Jason Bosch here, broker, coach, trainer, coming at you Friday, May 18th. It is Southern California where I'm leaving you this video from, and here I am in my favorite spot during the week, the classroom, just kind of calculating some things out, running through some hypotheses in my mind. I have had a number of you in both my coaching schedule, my brokerage, just colleagues, asking about what's going on in the marketplace. And so I have been inquiring and noticing that there's an interesting dynamic taking place right now. You see, for most parts across North America, we still have a very small amount of inventory. While you may have noticed that in some areas, inventory is growing, here where I am in Southern California, other parts of the country, clients that I'm coaching, their inventory is not exactly going up. And yet, the interesting part as well is that the homes are not flying off the shelf or selling as quickly as they were in the past. Now again, this is not a blanket statement. This is in some specific marketplaces and some specific price ranges. Now, I'm of the impression that that is occurring because of a couple of things. Number one, interest rates. I believe, and this is part of my bias, right, former loan officer, I believe that interest rates have a big part to do with this, with consumers not offering as much as they were or they would be when interest rates are lower. Number two, and it has to do with the same concept, it's consumer confidence. I am of the impression that some clients now, especially with this interest rate rise talk, are thinking that either the market has peaked or the market is about to peak. You may have noticed consumers are not the only ones of this opinion. Are your appraisals not coming in? I'm hearing with a lot of mortgage friends that seems to be the word from the top. Watch and double check these appraisals. So for you as the consumer, if you're watching this, or if you're a real estate agent, not really knowing what data to use, here's some quick numbers. I posted up a pretty typical FHA type purchase in Southern California. Some parts of it, the price would be too low, but I went with $375,000. I know that in some parts of the country, that would be a lower amount, and for some parts that would be like, right, super cheap, like New York City, Florida, and of course the west side of LA. And yet I picked that just to make my point. And my point is, at $375,000, that total payment at 4.5% last year, which is the rate we were seeing across the board or better, would have been about $2,572 a month. So you do the math, right? $1,400 of that was the interest, and then the difference was the principal, taxes, and insurance, and depending on the loan. Now, these are really rough numbers, but I want you to see how that number changes, all things being equal, when the rate goes up by merely 1%. Now, at 5.5%, this same property, for a buyer that is buying it with borrowed funds, and most of them at this price range are, jumps up $313 a month. Not because their principal or the taxes or their insurance goes up, that stays about the same, but their interest goes up by $313 or so. Now, we're not exactly at 5.5%, but this week, if you have mortgage friends on your Facebook feed, you may have noticed that all of them are freaking out about the fact that they're now offering 5% rates. Some of you have not been licensed for more than 7 or 8 years, so you think that's a super high rate. For those of us that have been doing this a while, anything under 8% is a great rate. And yet notice the difference between 4.5 and 5.5. See, I believe that there is a segment of the buyers that are no longer willing to pay the $375 because of that $313 difference. They were probably already stretched out at $2,572. And they can justify it because they could say, well, that's just a little bit more than we're paying in rent. if they're paying $2,000 or $2,100 a month in rent. But now at $2,885, you see where I'm going with this? That could make a big difference. And if this trend continues, and what I'm seeing and hearing, both from a public policy perspective, from an interest rate perspective, is that that is going to continue going up. And so if we go in the next year at 6.5%, look how much the same price would be costing people. And I bet you at that rate that there will be a much smaller amount of people that are going to go for it. Now, you may say, well, Jason, there's still a shortage of inventory, and it may not end up making a difference. Again, this isn't an absolute. This is just evidence we're looking at to determine if the hypothesis of a changing market is true or not. And again, from my perspective, I think this has something to do with it. So if you're an agent, what should you be doing? I'd be on the phone with anybody that is considering selling and telling them, look, here's what I do know. If we put your home up for sale this summer, we could still likely get the very top of the marketplace or very close to it if we put it up for sale and we price it right. If we wait until next summer and a year's worth of interest rate hikes go up, I don't know what I can do. So let's do the right thing and put your home up for sale now and get you to Las Vegas in the time that you need. You see where I'm going with that? I would use this data to create the value in the consumer's eyes that they need you to help them. And buyers, you could do the same thing with buyers, because the reality of it is some buyers may think as rates go up, they get a better deal, but they may end up paying more for the property because their interest amount is more. So I hope this helps. I'm Jason Bosch, Los Angeles County, California. I'm a broker here. I'm a coach nationwide in North America and in Central America, of course, with my Panamanian friends. And I am always looking for opportunities to train agents just like you. If I could be of service, find me, 909-935-5888. And if you've got some comments or questions on this, post it. Let me know what your thoughts are. I'm curious to see where the market goes. Talk soon. Bye.